Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Hmm.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. No, I don't want light. Just put on this light. Yeah. So, how are you all doing? Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jahatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome all. So you had a good day. See, nowadays Sundays and Saturdays are coming so fast. Just feels like we are here recently and then immediately we're there next week. Means we're all getting older faster. Okay, so just trying to take this sloka. So I'm just searching for that. Okay, so as discussed in the last class, we will now read how all the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas. So now this one has a link to the 7th chapter of Adi Leela. So we will do this chapter as well as the 7th chapter of Adi Leela. So then we will understand both conclusively. So after finishing these two chapters, then we will go back to the Gundicha pastimes, right? So we'll try and go to Gundicha pastimes by mid-May or third week of May, because Rath Yatra comes 20th of June. So 3-4 weeks, we'll understand a lot of Gundicha pastime, and then we'll set the mood. What is Marjanada, the meaning of Marjanada? Okay, so let's read now this. So this is from this is the last chapter of Madhya Leela. How all the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas. So can we have devotees, one paragraph, one devotee can we have reading?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Chapter 25, how all the residents of Varanasi became Vaishnavas. The following is a summary of chapter 25. A Maharashtrian Brahmana who was living in Banaras was a great devotee of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He was always very happy to hear the glories of the Lord, and it was by his arrangement that all the sannyasis of Varanasi became devotees of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He invited all the sannyasis to his house to meet Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and this incident has been described in the 7th chapter of the Adi Leela. From that day, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu became famous in the city of Varanasi, and many important men in that city became his followers. By and by, one of the disciples of the great sannyasi Prakashananda Saraswati became devoted to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and this devotee explained Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Prakashananda Saraswati and supported his views with various arguments. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to take bath at Panchanada, and afterwards all his devotees began chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in front of the temple of Bindu Madhava. At this time, Prakashananda Saraswati and all his devotees approached the Lord. Prakashananda Saraswati immediately fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and very much regretted his past behavior towards the Lord. He asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about devotional service in terms of the Vedanta Sutra, and the Lord told him about devotional service that is approved by great personalities who know the Vedanta Sutra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then pointed out that Srimad Bhagavatam is the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. He then explained the Chatushloki, 4 shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of that great scripture. Hare Krishna.
From that day on, all the sannyasis of Varanasi became devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Before returning to his headquarters at Jagannatha Puri, the Lord advised Sanatana Goswami to go to Vrindavana. The Lord then departed for Jagannatha Puri. Kaviraja Goswami then describes something about Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and
Subudhiraya.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to Jagannatha Puri
through the great forest of Jharkhand.
Jharkhand in central India. At the end of this chapter, Kaviraja Goswami sums up the incidents of the Madhya Leela and instructs every living being to read this sublime book of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Okay, so now here you see, it is clear that the sannyasis of Varanasi, they became very devoted to the Lord. Okay, so now Varanasi was governed or or not even say governed, I would say ruled by Mayavada sannyasis. And the head of the Mayavada sannyasi was this Prakashananda Saraswati. Okay. So now what happened? That Mahaprabhu changed all of them to become his disciples. Okay. So this gives you a summary of this chapter. So now for us to understand how Prakashananda Saraswati became very devoted, and not only him, all others, and then how Mahaprabhu became very famous in Varanasi, we'll go back to Adi Leela and read the 7th chapter. Finish that, come back and read this. Okay? Sounds good?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, I'm just launching that one. Yeah. So this is the 7th chapter of Adi Leela. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. So this is what we will read, and then we'll come back to that. Okay. Okay, so 7.1. We'll start reading. Who wants to start reading?
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I'm late, Prabhu.
No problem.
The Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 7, verse number 1. Agati ekagatim natva.
No, this is Bhagavad Gita type.
Agati ekagatim natva. Hinartadika sadakam. Sri Chaitanyam likyate asya prema bhakti vadanyata. Translation: Let me first offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the ultimate goal of life for one bereft of all possessions in this material world and is the only meaning for one advancing in spiritual life. Thus, let me write about his magnanimous contributions of devotional service in love of God. Purport: A person in the conditional stage of material existence is in an atmosphere of helplessness, but the conditioned soul, under the illusion of Maya or the external energy, thinks that he is completely protected by his country, society, friendship, and love, not knowing that at the time of death, none of these things can save him. The law of material nature are so strong that none of our material possessions can save us from the cruel hands of death. In the Bhagavad Gita 13.9, it is stated, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadihi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. One who is actually advancing must always consider the 4 principles of miserable life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. One cannot be saved from all these miseries unless he takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore the only shelter for all conditioned souls. An intelligent person therefore does not put his faith in any material possessions, but completely takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Such a person is called Akinchana, or one who does not possess anything in this material world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is also known as Akinchana Gochara, for he can be achieved by a person who does not put his faith in material possession. Therefore, for the fully surrendered soul who has no material possession on which to depend, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only shelter. Everyone depends upon dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development, kama, sense gratification, and ultimately moksha, salvation. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, due to his magnanimous character, can give more than salvation. Therefore, in this verse, the words Hinartadika Sadhakam indicate that although by material estimation, salvation is of quality superior to the inferior interest of religiosity, economic development and sense gratification, above salvation, there is the position of devotional service and transcendental love for the Supreme Personal of the Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the bestower of this great benediction. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prema Pumartho Mahan. Love of Godhead is the ultimate benediction for all human beings. Sri Krishnadasa Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Therefore, first offers his respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before describing his magnanimity in bestowing love of God. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so this is more of an introduction, which we've been reading on a continuous basis.
Yes, sir.
So the conclusion of this introductory verses: the love of Godhead is the most precious and the topmost that one can achieve in any of the worlds, not only material world, including the spiritual world. He is giving a difference between three stages. One is material comfort, second is moksham, liberation, third, love of Godhead. So material comfort, one can see that, oh, it's a lot of enjoyment, a lot of sophistication, but there's a limitation. It causes more pain. Liberation is not topmost. It may be better than following the religious principles, but it is still inferior. So what is topmost? Love of Godhead. And that's what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming in, teaching to all the souls here. Okay. So that's the summary of this. Now let's go to 7.2.
Text 7.2. Jaya Jaya Mahaprabhu Sri Krishna Chaitanya Tanhara Charana Shrita Sei Badda Danya
Sri Bada.
Sei Bada Danya. Let me offer glorification to the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who has taken shelter of his lotus feet is the most glorified person. Prabhu means master. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme master of all masters. Therefore, he is called Mahaprabhu. Any person who takes shelter of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most glorified because by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is able to get promotion to the platform of loving service to the Lord, which is transcendental to salvation.
Transcendental to salvation. Okay. Okay. Any commentary?
No, Prabhu, straightforward.
Okay. 7.3.
Prabhu, sometimes we call others also as Prabhu, no Prabhu. So that time, how should we understand this, Prabhu?
Prabhu means the one who serves the lotus feet of Vishnu.
That's all, right? Nothing. Okay.
But what does it happen when you connect with a devotee who serves the lotus feet of Vishnu? He'll give you Vishnu Bhakti or Krishna Bhakti, correct? So that's why you are wanting to respectfully connect to that person who is a Prabhu. Because he will give you love of Godhead. He'll give you mercy to get the nectar of Bhakti Yoga.
But here he tells Prabhu means master. So Prabhu has two meanings.
Prabhu means master means, Prabhu means master means like a guru.
Okay.
Who can impart you that knowledge, kind of. It is not the aspect of enjoyer or controller or anything. Okay. So he says transcendental to even salvation. Salvation is liberation, right? Okay. 7.3.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. 7.3. Purve Guru Adi Chaya Tate Kaila Namaskara Guru Tattva Kahiyachi Ebe Pancheta Vichara. Translation. In the beginning, I have discussed the truth about the spiritual master. Now I shall try to explain the Panchatattva. Purport. In the first chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, the author Sri Krishnaraja Kaviraj Goswami has described the initiator, spiritual master, and the instructor, spiritual master, in the verse beginning with the words Vande Gurun, Isha Bhaktan, Isham Ishara Tarakan. In that verse, there are 6 transcendental subject matters, of which the truth regarding the spiritual master has already been described. Now the author will describe the other 5 tattvas, that is truths, namely Isha Tattva, the Supreme Lord, his expansion Tattva, his incarnation Tattva, his energy tattva and his devotee tattva. Hare Krishna.
Devotee tattva. So devotee tattva was also there. Okay, so which clearly concludes that we are part of the one of the transcendental subject matters. Okay, 7.4.
Hare Krishna. Adi Leela, chapter 7, text 4. Panchatattva avatarina
Avatirna.
avatirna chaitanyera sange panchatattva lana karena sankirtana range. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. These 5 tattvas incarnate with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and thus the Lord executes his Sankirtana movement with great pleasure. Purport. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, Text 32, there is the following statement regarding Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sango Pana Shastra
Panga.
Sango Panga
Pangastra.
Astra Prasadam Parsadam Yajne Sankirtana prior Yajanti hi Sumedasha. In the age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates by performance of the Sankirtana Yajna. Sri Chaitanya Prabhu is always accompanied by his plenary expansions, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, his incarnation, Sri Advaita Prabhu, his internal potency, Sri Gadadhara Prabhu, and his marginal potency, Sri Vasa Prabhu. He is in the midst of them as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by these other tattvas. Therefore, our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are complete when we say Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. As preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, we first offer obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting this Panchatattva mantra. Then we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Ram, Hare Hare.
Then are the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But these are not considered in the chanting of the Panchatattva mantra, namely Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Vadanyaya Avatara. The most magnanimous incarnation, for he does not consider the offenses of the fallen souls. Thus, to derive the full benefit of the chanting of the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we must first take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, learn the Panchatattva Mahamantra, and then chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That will be very effective. Taking advantage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many unscrupulous devotees manufacture a Mahamantra of their own. Sometimes they sing Bhaja Nitai Gaura
Radhe Shama,
Hare
Krishna Hare Rama,
or Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Hare Krishna Hare Rama, Sri Radhe Govinda. Actually, however, one should chant the name of the full Panchatattva, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. And then the 16 words, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. But these unscrupulous, less intelligent men confuse the entire process. Of course, since they are also devotees, they can express their feelings in that way. But the method prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Prabhu's pure devotees is first chant the Panchatattva mantra and then chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Yeah. So the author is clearly signifying that if you want to chant the holy name of Krishna, you're going to derive mercy. And in this age, it is a Panchatattva. It is their mercy that will work on us. So hence we are invoking the Panchatattva mantra and then chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And nothing else is required. It's very clearly described here. So our Guru has said, chant Panchatattva mantra 3 times and then chant the Hare Krishna mantra. So that means you're taking empowerment, you're seeking their mercy, then you're chanting so that you get love about it. That's the whole idea. Okay. So let's read 7.5.
I'll read Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Panchatattva eka vastu nahi kichu beda rasa aswadite tabu vivida vibeda. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Spiritually, there are no differences between these five tattvas, for on the transcendental platform, everything is absolute. Yet, there are also varieties in the spiritual world, and in order to taste these spiritual varieties, one should distinguish between them. Purport. In this Anubhashya commentary, Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura describes the Panchatattva as follows. The supreme energetic, the personality of Godhead, manifesting in order to enjoy five kinds of pastimes, appears as the members of the Panchatattva. Actually, there is no difference between them because they are situated on the absolute platform, but they manifest different spiritual varieties as a challenge to the impersonalists to taste different kinds of spiritual humors as rasas. In the Vedas, it is said, Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. The varieties of energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are differently known. From this statement of the Vedas, one can understand that there are eternal varieties of humors or tastes in the spiritual world. Sri Gauranga, Sri Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Sri Gadadhara, and Sri Vasa Thakura are all on the same platform, but in spiritually distinguishing
between them.
Left hand side top.
Between them, one should understand that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the form of a devotee. Nityananda Prabhu appears in the form of a devotee spiritual master. Advaita Prabhu is the form of a bhakta, devotee incarnation. Gadadhara Prabhu is the energy of a bhakta, and Srivasa Thakura is a pure devotee. Thus, there are spiritual distinctions between them. The Bhakta Rupa, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the Bhakta Swarupa, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and the Bhakta Avatara, Sri Advaita Prabhu, are described as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. His immediate manifestation and his plenary expansion, and they all belong to the Vishnu category, although the spiritual and marginal energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. They are predominated subjects, whereas Lord Vishnu is the predominator. As such, although they are on the same platform, they have appeared differently in order to facilitate tasting of transcendental mellows. Actually, however, there is no possibility of one being different from the other, for the worshipper and the worshipable cannot be separated at any stage. On the absolute platform, one cannot be understood without the other. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So how much is understandable from this purport?
So here what we understand, Prabhu, is spiritually there are no difference between the five tattvas, and it is the to get the different rasas or humors. So the people, the five people are incarnated, and as said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Bhakti Rupa, and Nityananda Prabhu is the Bhakta Rupa, and Advaita Prabhu is the Bhakta Avatara Rupa. Bhakta Avatara. So, and so based on these things, what we understand is we understand the significance of each of the incarnations here, and we have to follow that in our daily practices. Basically, the Vishnu Tattva, what we talk about, like, right, the Bhakta Rupa, the Bhakta Swarupa, and the Bhakta Avatara are the Vishnu categories, plenary expansions.
Okay. Any other points to be noted?
Prabhu, they cannot be separated at any stage. Each one is coming to do his this thing pastime Prabhu. So each one, they are all one together. They cannot be separated.
Okay, so can someone give the meaning for this? It's yellow. And then after that, we'll give the meaning for this.
Yeah, they all belong to Vishnu category, Prabhu.
The Vishnu Tattva, okay.
Yes.
That means they're lordships, okay. And the next. So it says the immediate manifestation, plenary expansion. Which is immediate manifestation?
Nityananda Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. And plenary expansion?
Advaita Acharya. It's
Okay.
both
That's
combination of Shiva and Sadashiva and Vishnu. Yes.
Okay. The green, what you can explain? Green.
Marginal energy is the Shiva's.
Shiva's Thakura represents marginal energy, right? That means he's representing whom?
The devotees.
Us. Okay.
Tattva.
Correct. Now it says the spiritual margin of the Supreme Lord are non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. So that means this confirms the qualitative oneness of all these personalities, including the Jiva Tattva. They are predominant subjects, whereas Lord Vishnu is the predominator. That means one is being controlled, one is the controller. That's what it is. So this establishes that supremacy versus someone's dependency. Okay. So this is the theory or the logic behind.
Prabhu, is it like a Bheda Tattva?
No.
Oh, not that. That is describing only about a particular quality of the Lord. That is not here. Okay. So now, what you can understand is here the author says Parashya Shaktir Vividava Shveta. That means the Parashya Shakti refers to one, the Lord has many varieties of energies. And they're so very variegated. It is not that Lord has only one energy. Lord has unlimited number of energies. The varieties, these energies may act in different plane at different time and circumstances, but they're all coming from the Lord. That means they are all of that same potency. The varieties of this energy of Supreme Person of God are differently known, but they all come from the Lord, hence they have the same potency. That's the point here. So here is giving many examples. Okay. Now then, if all of them are coming from the Lord, why we should have 5 energies? Because for us to understand 5 dimensions, at least here we are understanding 5 dimensions. That's the whole purpose. Any thoughts, questions?
One apt shloka for this is that Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam Chetaso Chetan. The Lord is the source, even though both are eternal and both are having that qualitatively qualities, but Lord is the source, other is the consumer of that source, other comes from that source. That is what the green portion, whatever, the predominator and that one that tells from.
Okay, that's one. This Nityanam has a bigger meaning, which is trying to tell the supremacy of the Lord, how he, even though he is saying qualitatively how he is supreme than the Anu Atma. Right. So that also as an additional detailing that sloka gives.
Yeah. Yes, Lord. Yeah, but here that point is confirmed. Predominator versus.
Yes, predominator.
Yes. So that sloka also tells the same thing.
Correct. Okay. So these are giving us conclusions. Okay. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is demonstrating. He is making us to realize the Madhurya Prema of the Lord. Okay, how you can fall into anointed love on the Lord. Okay, Chaitanya Prabhu is representing. Nityananda Prabhu is representing the knowledge required in order to achieve that unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. The Madhurya Rasabhava, right? So that's the position of Nityananda Prabhu. So without Nityananda Prabhu, you will not understand what is supreme. So for example, you read the 11th sloka, 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna showed the Vishwarupa, Arjuna was stunned, he's bewildered. So I'm unable to even digest it. What are you showing? So how do I understand you? And Krishna says, no, you don't understand me like this. This is just to show you my unlimitedness and supremacy. But you understand me as Shyamasundar. Right? So the Lord, even though he's coming as one Brahmana, a sannyasi in human form, his unlimitedness is impossible to measure. So that is the knowledge Nityananda Prabhu gives. Who's the Lord? What are his activities? How wonderful he is. And how, he comes to this world and makes us to connect with him. That's the role of Nityananda Prabhu. What's the role of Advaita Acharya Prabhu? Says, yes, one is that knowledge, but how will you practice that knowledge? For example, you do Mangalarti in the morning. So you're doing Mangalarti, Mangalarti is not like, okay, open the door, show some lamp and then take it away. No, that's not Mangalarti, right? Look at the steps. You first clean the altar. Then you give nice fragrance since the altar is nice, incense sticks, nice flowers. All these things you give fragrance in the altar. Then you offer some nice sweets and milk and fruits to please the Lord. Then you are actually singing, glorifying the Lord. Singing and glorifying. While you're doing that, you're offering many, many items. Like agarbatti, like pancharti, like this, like that, like that. You're doing bhajana. You're celebrating. Then you're also, pleasing the Lord by fanning him. So like that, you see, you're connecting with that Lord where you possess all this knowledge in different ways. That's what Advaita Acharya represents. How the mercy will reciprocate. So you can see, even though they are all energies of the Lord, but how differentiated they are. That's what you have to understand. Okay, let's go to 7.6. Yeah, someone read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Text 7.6. Pancha Tattvatmikam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Taktikam. Translation and purport. Let me offer my obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna, who has manifested himself in 5 as a devotee, expansion of a devotee, incarnation of a devotee, pure devotee, and devotional energy. Perfect. Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the immediate expansion of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu as his brother. He is the personified spiritual bliss of Satchidananda Vigraha. His body is transcendental and full of ecstasy in devotional service. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore called Bhakta Rupa, the form of a devotee. And Sri Nityananda Prabhu is called Bhakta Swarupa, the expansion of a devotee. Sri Advaita Prabhu, the incarnation of a devotee, is Vishnu Tattva and belongs to the same category. There are also different types of bhaktas or devotees on the platform of neutrality, servitude, friendship, parenthood, and conjugal love. Devotees like Sri Damodara, Sri Gadadara, and Sri Ramananda are different energies. This confirms the Vedic Sutra Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. All these bhakta subjects taken together constitute Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So similarly, so now Who represents devotional energy?
Gadadhar.
And the pure devotee is Srivas.
So how do you understand difference, Prabhu? Here, Bhakta Rupa also means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also a devotee, and here Prabhupada is calling Srivas Thakur as pure devotee.
No. This Bhakta Rupa is Lord in the form of the devotee.
Means Prabhu?
See, Lord in the form of a devotee is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Correct, no? Lord in the form of a devotee is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right?
Correct.
Correct, no? So now Nityananda Prabhu is called Bhakta Sarupa, the expansion of that devotee, because he is expansion of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. Now these two personalities, what is it called?
Advaita.
Gadadhar and Ramananda and Damodar, are devotion energy. What is devotion energy? For example, you may have the knowledge, you may know the process, you know the method you want to do, but what will give you that attraction, that pleasure, the continuous performance of the devotion service is the devotion energy. And the end result of that purity of devotion is Srivas. So that's how the differentiator is. So according to this differentiator, there is one who is accepting the service and one who is performer of the service. All five variegated are combined. Now
explain.
So let me make you the life of Srivas Thakur. Let's understand life of Srivas Thakur. Who is Srivas Thakur? Narada Muni. So what happened to Narada? So Narada Muni is explaining in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4 and 5. Here you will understand life of Narada Muni. So how life of Narada Muni began? Narada Muni began his life as a boy born in a poor family, a very ordinary family. And in fact, Bhagavatam doesn't even talk about father of Narada Muni. That means he probably lost his father at a very early age. Whatever he knows is his mother. Okay, so I'm not going to details. Due to some causeless mercy, Narada Muni got the opportunity to eat the remnants of great Vaishnavas. He associated with them, he ate the remnants of those great Vaishnavas. Okay, and her mother engaged in devotion service. So now, Narada Muni is now blessed by Vaishnavas to relish love of Godhead. You get the point? For example, you go fall at someone's feet, they say, Aishman Bhava. That means the blessings has happened. But the person will have to live to experience that long Aisha. Like that, those great Vaishnavas have imparted the blessing, love of Godhead on Narada Muni. Now he has to experience it. Now, what is the first incident that happens in Narada Muni? After he tastes the remnants and things like that, he was able to do some menial service along with his mother. Okay, good. And in a short period of time, his mother is bitten by a snake and his mother dies. Now, Prabhupada writes, mother went back home. Who? Narada Muni's mother went back home. But Narada Muni need to be offered to this world, which is a greater value to all the living beings. Hence, Krishna's focus to bring out that pure devotee of that boy, pure devotion out of that boy, who's Narada Muni later on, is a very important action that Lord has to perform. Hence, what Lord did, he took away his mother. He's left alone. He is going around to various places, and then without choice, he is practicing devotion. See, first comes the benediction, first comes the opportunity, then comes the benediction. After benediction, followed by the Lord's arrangement. Okay, so then there is a lake that he goes. I forgot the name of the lake. Somewhere near the lake or riverbed he goes. Then Narada Muni is performing Practice of devotion service. To practice devotion service, what do you need? You need devotion energy. Right? Without the devotion energy, Shakti, you cannot practice devotion service. So Lord benedicts him, and then he's able to practice devotion service very nicely. In the first few days of practice of devotion, what happens? The Lord appears in his meditation. Lord appears in his meditation and then gives him that bliss, that special nectar that he can taste. Once he sees the Lord in that meditative posture, meditative means not Ashtanga, in that sitting meditation, what it may be. He experiences the Lord, he sees the Lord. And after a short period of time, Lord disappears. The Narada Muni realizes, wow, this is amazing. That few moments of bliss that I had cannot be measured by any amounts of activities or material wealth or anything that one can possess. So what he does, he again practices that same meditation to experience that Lord again. But is he able to experience the Lord? No, the Lord doesn't come. So Prabhupada writes that why the Lord doesn't come again is because it is not that by our mechanical and material means or some activities that we can once again receive the Lord or get the Lord. No, it's not possible. Because Lord is transcendental. So the Lord can appear only by his own free will and award that benediction. That's the understanding there. Okay? That person goes on. He wanted that nectar and that devotion energy was given, and then he practiced devotion to become a pure devotee. When he left his body, he was again born as son of Brahma. Because every day Brahmaji is getting up and then creating. Night he goes to sleep, again getting up in the morning and creating. When Brahmaji next day he created Narada Muni as his own son. Now, Narada Muni is carrying forward his previous life, that he is experienced that, this prema of God, Krishna prema. He's experienced it. But now he wants to relish it. So his relishing is going on by many factors. Not only his sadhana, by the benediction, by Lord's arrangement, by the other energies of the Lord. So you see, he's going on experiencing higher and higher levels of prema of the Lord. That's very important to understand. And hence Narada Muni represents pure devotion. Because Narada Muni was able to experience love of Godhead and he demonstrated pure devotion, his role became very critical in Vyasa writing one of the topmost books, Srimad Bhagavatam. And he became the key person to trigger that consciousness in the heart of Vyasadeva. So you see how his life has become so wonderful. So devotion service, unless one comes to the platform of higher and higher levels of purity, we cannot experience Godhead. We can see Godhead once we cross that the stages of Bhava and Prema. We can see eye to eye Krishna, the Bhagavan feature of the Lord. So now you see, there is in the Panchatattva mantra, there is one side, there is Lord, there is knowledge about the Lord, the methods and process of the Lord, there's energy to achieve. Achieve here means to attain the lotus feet of the Lord. There is also role model and example as a pure devotee, how to actually do it. So that is Narada Muni, who's none other than Srivas Thakura in this house of, in the incarnation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What's the best that you can understand about Srivas Thakura's purity? We are talking about this great famous sloka of Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahisnam. But Srivas actually demonstrates it.
Yes.
When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to start the Sankirtana movement, he chose the house of Srivas Thakura. When an unwanted Brahmana entered the house, Mahaprabhu saw there is disturbance of consciousness of love of Godhead. Mahaprabhu experienced a lot of these bodily gestures and features of Anubhava state. Trembling, tithering, jumping, rolling on the floor, going into unconscious state, unable to speak, voice choking, in tears, perspiration. So many things of higher devotion Lord was demonstrated. But when Srivas Thakura was present, the Lord was never disturbed. In fact, it enhanced the Sankirtana that happened in the house of Srivas Thakura. Okay? So, the first proof. The Sankirtana movement began in the house of Srivas by the mercy of the Lord. That means it can tell the purity of Srivas Thakura. Second, when this Gopala Chapala, he became envious of Srivas Thakura. What did he do? In the night, he went and kept the yantras that is offered to Durga Puja. He kept a photo of Durga Devi and then all the yantras and all other items that are used like kumkum, that there's so many things with some colored rice and everything he kept secretly and then went away. Now, after Chaitanya Prabhu's presence, and the entire Navadvipam was full of Brahmanas and Vaishnavites, and there were a lot of people who were practicing Sankirtan, followers of Mahaprabhu, so many, etc. But when they got up in the morning, when they all came out chanting, they saw in front of the house of Srivas Thakura all these yantras and things like that. What did they? They were, I'm sure they were, all the citizens of Navadvip, they offended Srivas Thakura by commenting on what they saw there. But when Srivas Thakura came out, what did he do? He did not defend. In fact, he protected Gopala Chapala by saying, I only did this. I am a low-born. I am a mlecha. And I am a chandala. No, he didn't say mlecha, he said I'm a chandala. And I practice such things in the mode of ignorance. And all the other people of Navadvip, they found fault with Srivas Thakura. And he did not utter a word. He did not even go to Chapala to even ask him, why did you do that? He just took the blame on him. See, that's pure devotion. It's impossible to achieve this state. And when Mahaprabhu, when Chapala becomes with leprosy and he's suffering, and Mahaprabhu said, I can't do anything, you suffer. Not only now, millions of births you suffer like this. He pleads and pleads, and Mahaprabhu said, okay, go fall at feet of Srivas Thakura. See if he is able to forgive you. So when Gopala Chapala goes to Srivas, Srivas is not even asking a question to him. Why did you do this? Why are you envious of me? He never asked anything. He said, he just embraced him. He said, you're a great personality. And I don't know about who took an offense, but I never took offense about you in my heart. Now imagine someone who's been character assassinated like this is not taking an offense. Now can you see what is the level of pure devotion he's practicing? If it were we will go justify our state. No, I am so and so. How dare you say this? So you have to understand from the life of Srivas how he is demonstrating that pure devotion. Why? Because he is none other than Narada Muni. And Narada Muni achieved in his previous life. So that is why we have to understand the Lord, the Lord's energies, the Lord's associate, and ourselves. When we understand these things, of course, the knowledge aspect, understand these things, then it is possible to approach the Lord. Otherwise, we may be just doing bhakti on a very, or Mishra bhakti, or we may do bhakti on a very shallow platform.
And also when his son dies, he doesn't disclose to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
That's all very high stages of devotion.
Yes.
He doesn't even disclose that. How can I disturb the consciousness of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So how can Srivas, if you see Srivas as a, another Vaishnava, ordinary Vaishnava, how can he demonstrate such qualities beyond imagination? That's what you have to dwell upon. The same thing, Narada Muni. How is that he was able to influence Vyasa? That means, who's this Narada Muni? How was he able to do it? On one side, Srimad Bhagavatam describes that Vyasa is nothing but, literary incarnation of the Lord. Lord incarnates to expand that knowledge of the Vedanta. So how can someone teach the Lord, hey, what you should do? Then what should be the position of that person? That's the key point here. That's how you understand pure devotion. Savini Prabhu, does it help?
Yes, Prabhu. It helps.
Okay. So now Gadadhar is also what? He's also, mercied under Srimati Radharani. She's the energy. So Srimati Radharani making us to perform. Get up in the morning, chant. Get up in the morning, perform Marti. Get up in the morning, do this. So that's all mercy of Srimati Radharani. So you see, that's why the Panchatattva is so phenomenal. So Srila Prabhupada said that in Kali Yuga, don't worship Radha Shamasundar. He said, go worship the Panchatattva. They are the lordships of this age. No one can understand the dimension of the mercy, the heights and breadths of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How powerful it is. See, now today what's happening, we are in Kali Yuga, we are enjoying comfort. Comfort of technology, comfort of, science, space, automobiles, food at your disposal, everything at comfort. And added to all these things, the best part is bhakti is also at comfort. There are enough temples. There are enough devotees coming and begging, come on, buy these books, study Shastra, come for service. Devotion also is at comfort. You don't need to come to a temple or center. You can be at home and then practice bhakti. Like that, bhakti has become. Now, because the mercy is so strong of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are getting everything in a platter. All enjoyment, happiness, luxury, all in platter, including devotion. Now, on the contrary, what is reality? Kali Yuga means no moksham. Moksham stops. Salvation stops when Krishna leaves the world. End of Dwapara Yuga. Salvation stops. Next salvation only will begin when Satyuga begins. That's the law book. Kali Yuga, there's no salvation. Now, because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are able to experience all these things, even though we are in Kali. So what are we doing is, we are taking it for granted, all these benedictions. That's why our seriousness devotion is not all coming out. So what? Now, imagine Mahaprabhu withdraws his mercy, then you will see life becomes very tough. It becomes so tough that you don't even feel like living a moment further. That's how life will become tough, if Mahaprabhu withdraws his mercy. That's the beauty of Panchatattvam. That's why we give excuse. Yeah, Prabhu, what to do, Prabhu? Excuse. Okay. Sounds good?
Yes, Prabhu, very nice, Prabhu. Actually, Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sing, dance, and roll and on the road, streets, and all that. And what I read is, I don't know if it's correct, you should tell. And Sachimata will be very much feeling fat because if he does like that, he can get injured and all that. So then I think she tells her something. That's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taken to Srivasacharya's house. And every day he dances in his house.
There are internal reason and external reason. External reasons are some of these reasons. Internal reason is you want to experience Krishna Prem, the nectar of Krishna. Then he wants to give that Sankirtan to others.
Okay.
So that's why he goes on experiencing it so much, non-stop.
Yes.
Okay, let's read further. This chapter is really brilliant because as Mahaprabhu goes into details, you will see how do you distinguish knowledge from bhakti? Knowledge is required to practice bhakti, but you have to still distinguish knowledge from bhakti. Otherwise, what will happen? You will become a preacher, but you'll never practice devotion service. How's that? Huh? You may be very humorous in speech, you'll speak this, you'll speak that, but you will not practice bhakti. And that's dangerous. We'll read that. That's why this chapter is very important. Okay. Okay, 7.7.
Text 7.7. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Ekale Ishvara Advitiya Nandatmaja Rasika Shekara. Translation and purport. Krishna, the reservoir of all pleasure, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, the Supreme Controller. No one is greater than or equal to Sri Krishna, yet he appears as the son of Maharaja Nanda. Purport. In this verse, Kaviraja Goswami gives an accurate description of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by stating that although no one is equal to or greater than him, and he is the reservoir of all spiritual pleasure, he nevertheless appears as the son of Maharaja Nanda and Yashoda Mayi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, 7.8. Yeah, someone quickly read.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Text 7.8. Rasadi Vilasi Vraja Lalana Nagara Arayata Sabadeka Tandra Parikara.
Excellent.
Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the supreme enjoyer in the Rasa dance. He is the leader of the damsels of Vraja, and all others are simply his associates. Purport. The word Rasadi Vilasi, the enjoyer of the Rasa dance, is very important. The Rasa dance can be enjoyed only by Sri Krishna, because he is the supreme leader and chief of the damsels of Vrindavana. All others are his devotees and associates. Although no one can compare with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are many unscrupulous rascals who imitate the Rasa dance of Sri Krishna. They are Mayavadis, and people should be wary of them. The Rasa dance can be performed only by Sri Krishna and no one else. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so this is condemning the imitation, the people who imitates. Okay, 7.9. Sei Krishna avatirna Sri Krishna Chaitanya Sei parikara gana Sange sabadhanya. The self-same Lord Krishna advented himself as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with all his eternal associates who are also equally glorious. Look at it. Who are also equally glorious. No different. They are also phenomenal. That means even if you take shelter of Narada Muni, you'll still go back home. That's what it says. Okay, 7.10.
Next 7.10. Ekale Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Read.
One second.
What's it going?
ekale ishvara tattva chaitanya ishvara bhakta bhava maya tandra shuddha kalevara. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the supreme controller, the one personality of Godhead, has ecstatically become a devotee, yet his body is transcendental and not materially thin. Purport. There are different tattvas or truths, including Isha Tattva, Jiva Tattva, and Shakti Tattva. Isha Tattva refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who is the supreme living force. In the Katha Upanishad, it is said, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Eternal and the Supreme Living Force. The living entities are also eternal and are also living forces, but they are very minute in quantity, whereas the Supreme Lord is Supreme Living Force and the Supreme Eternal. The Supreme Eternal never accepts a body of a temporary material nature, whereas the living entities who are part and parcel of the Supreme Eternal are prone to do so. Thus, according to the Vedic mantras, the Supreme Lord is the Supreme Master of innumerable living entities. So the Mayavadi philosophers, however, try to equate the minute living entities with the Supreme living entity, because they recognize no distinctions between them. Their philosophy is called Advaitavada or monism. Factually, however, there is a distinction. This verse is especially meant to impart to the Mayavadi philosopher the understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Controller. The Supreme Controller, the Personality of Godhead, is Krishna himself, but as a transcendental pastime, he has accepted the form of devotee, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, comes to this planet exactly like a human being, some rascals consider him to be one of the ordinary humans. The one who thinks is that mistaken way is described in Mudha as Mudha or foolish. Therefore, one should not foolishly consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be an ordinary human being. He has accepted the ecstasy of a devotee, but he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there have been many imitations, incarnations of Krishna, who cannot understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself and not an ordinary human being. Less intelligent men create their own gods by adverting a human being as God. This is their mistake. Therefore, here the words Tantra Shuddha Kalevara was warned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body is not material but purely spiritual. One should not therefore accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary devotee, although he has assumed the form of a devotee. Yet one must certainly know that although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he accepted the ecstasy of a devotee, one should not misunderstand his pastimes and place him in exactly the same position as Krishna. It is for this reason only that when Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was addressed as Krishna or Vishnu, he blocked his ears, not wanting to hear himself addressed as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is a class of devotees called Gauranga Nagari, who takes place of Krishna's pastimes using a vigraha or form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a mistake that is technically called Asabhasa. While Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to enjoy as a devotee, one should not disturb him by addressing him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, your key points.
Prabhu, I think it is fully self-explanatory, Prabhu. And one key point is that Supreme, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is nothing but Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as sadhakas, one thing that we have to underscore is that, our devotion towards Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is equal to the devotion service to our Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So we should not distinguish the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because that is also transcendental. And that's what here is said, Tantra Shuddha Kalevara. So it is the one that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu body is not material but purely spiritual. I think with that consciousness, if we take up the devotional service, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will definitely bestow us the mercy to advance in our devotional service. So unlike Mayavadi philosophers who try to equate even us also at par with the Supreme Lord, it is not advisable. And as devotees, we need to be very careful about this.
So mainly imitation.
Yes.
And Mahaprabhu, why he does that? Because he says, no, don't ever call you as God, or don't call someone else as God. He is not God. So if you still continue to call him, he will take a destination of a hell and you will follow through with him. So that's the point he's trying to say.
That is the one more point, Prabhu, as you added. Although this when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body is also transcendental, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't want himself to be called as God. Even if he is called as Krishna.
Why? Because no one should claim as God in the future.
Correct. That kind of ego evolves.
Okay, 7-11. Anyone wants to add points to this?
Prabhu, here in the last but one sentence, no, Rasabhasa. So what should be the mood of devotees while so in our temple also we have the Vigraha of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no? So should we consider him as the devotee of the Lord, or we should consider him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
No, I didn't understand. Can you repeat?
No, here they are saying, no, Prabhu, there is a class of devotees called Gauranga Nagari who stays place of Krishna's pastimes using a Vigraha. So what should be the mood of the devotee, whether we should consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the devotee of the Lord and worship him, or we should consider him as Supreme Personality of Godhead?
No, we know the fact that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, right?
So but now, in what mood we should pray to him?
Okay, so what is the conclusive teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Ramananda Rai? What's the highest form of worship?
The worship of Radha and Krishna.
Yeah, so worship of Radha and Krishna is the highest form of worship. There's no doubt about it. What does Mahaprabhu teach? Worship Srimati Radharani and Krishna. Correct? Call out his name, always chant his name. Correct?
Yes, Father.
So, your goal of worship is lotus feet of Radha and Krishna in the mood of Dasa Dasa Anu Dasa Dasa Anu Dasa. Servant of servant of servant of servant of servitude. Okay. Now, who said this? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this. Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like a saint, another saint, one more saint. We have many saints in this world. This saint told like this, that saint told like this. So you're not going to get seriousness about one saint telling all these things to you. But when you know that he himself is God who came as a devotee to teach us this, then your faith in worship of Radha and Krishna and this knowledge is going to be unshakable. Otherwise, you're going to be keep on dilly-dallying. Why not that saint? Oh, Sai Baba came and told, why not this person? What's wrong? So, on one side, you're firmly fixed, yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Person Godhead, and he came and taught me worship Radha and Krishna. Okay. So now you see, even in ISKCON temples, worship of Gaur Nitai is very simple forms of worship. Why? Because they don't take offenses. That means, in deity worship, there are Shodashopachara. Okay. And the Pancharatrika Vidhis. You're supposed to follow them pakka. If you don't follow pakka, it becomes a Deva Aparada. Okay? So now, if you worship Chaitanya Prabhu and Nityananda Prabhu as Krishna and Balaram, and then worship, it's okay because they don't take offenses. That means even if you make mistakes here and there, So many mistakes you make, no problem. They'll take it. Okay. Next higher form of worship is Jagannath, Chaturdhamurti. So now why in Chaturdhamurti also, the offense is very less because he is in the mood of separation from Radharani. He is in such a, magnanimous form. Very forgiving consciousness in that form as Jagannath. That's fine. But worship of Radha and Krishna, the standards must be the topmost. No compromise, no excuse. So you have to follow them, otherwise they will take offenses. It becomes Daiva Aparada. Upachara is not followed properly. What's example? The best example I can give you is Gajendra Moksham. Who is that king? King who, right?
Indradyumna.
He did not, he became, Indradyumna Maharaj became King who. So then what did he do? He did not shout or use language or misbehave, nothing. He was just careless towards a Vaishnava. And look at the reaction. That's how the offenses are. So when we worship, we are worshipping Jagannath, we are worshipping Radha Krishna in the temple, but we are worshipping by the mercy of Acharya and Gaudinita. Then what happens? The offenses are very, very, manageable. You can take it. So Mahaprabhu is acting as a catalyst here. What's catalyst? He'll accelerate your bhakti. He'll accelerate you to reach the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. He'll accelerate that in this life only come back to God. He'll immediately, look at our life here. So much of material life and very short practice of bhakti. And we are expecting Krishna Prema, the highest seed of devotion. How is it possible? And people of Kali Yuga, they think it's possible. It's possible because of mercy of Mahaprabhu. So look at that point of view and worship.
Prabhu, in the last sentence, they're saying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to enjoy as a devotee. One should not disturb him by addressing him as Supreme Personality. But we are having him on the altar and worshipping him as Supreme Personality only now.
Yeah. Now we are doing it. This is during that time. That time
when he was on the earth.
When he was practicing as a devotee, your Supreme Personality of Godhead means, then the whole purpose of he practicing as a devotee is gone. No, he would have come like a lord full of opulence in a chariot and then said, hey, I'll do all these things. No, the whole purpose is different, but you keep addressing him. The Acharya is telling people did that to Mahaprabhu when he was here and then causes problem.
Okay, it was at that time they are addressing in this purpose.
Yeah. Why? And the previous verses and all we read, no? What did you read when Ramananda Rai came and all? There are so many instances. Ramananda Rai, you are only Supreme Personal Godhead. Why you are asking like this? He'll say that. Why? With the Pratap Rudra and Sarvam Bhattacharya. So many times, yeah, you are Supreme Personal Godhead. We know that. So in the conversation they do, but they will not want to do this in public and make him sit on a Archavigara platform, worship him. He didn't want all those things.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes,
so let's go 7-11 then.
Oh, same thing Krishna also didn't know in our. He also didn't want to know he's a Supreme Person of Godhead.
Where did he know?
For Yashoda and Nanda.
No. That don't confuse with this. See, so let's look at two aspects, two dimensions. Devaki also is Krishna's mother. Yashoda also Krishna's mother. Okay. Go to Dwaraka pastimes. What happened? Krishna revealed Supreme Person Godhead. What happened to Devaki? Immediately she fell, surrendered. She fell at his feet. Oh, you are the Supreme God. Now look at Devaki. Devaki is the mother of Krishna. How can mother fall at the feet of a son? She's not seeing her rasa. She's not seeing her relationship in serving the Lord, but immediately she's surrendering. Yeah. Oh, you're my Supreme Lord. Krishna doesn't want that. Then where is parental love? Krishna wants parental love, correct? Krishna wants experience Vatsalya Bhava with a certain set of devotees. That you destroy. What did Yashoda did? Krishna ate mud. Okay. Yashoda asked, what is the animal? Show me. He showed the entire creation. Now, at that when she showed entire creation, in a matter of seconds, she fell unconscious and she again came back to consciousness and said, she said, oh, it is Narayana's mercy, something is going on with my child, I have to take care of my child. She calls for some, I don't know, who's guy to put the mantra tantra on him so that he is cured or something like that. Something like that she does. She never compromises her parental affection of Krishna. That's what Krishna wants. If Krishna did not do that, then it will be all Devaki story everywhere, where he will experience parental love.
Yes, Lord. That's good. Yeah, gotcha.
That's the nectar he wants to enjoy. He's not interested in other things. Correct? Now, when Kalia took Krishna underwater, what did Nanda Maharaj? Oh, my son, what will happen? We'll have to somehow fight him doing that. When Krishna was lifting Govardhan hill, read the entire pastime. Was there even 1 second Yashoda thought he is Supreme Lord? No. Somehow Narayana's strength, Narayana's mercy, that these things are happening. And Nanda Baba tells to others, when others are telling, how long will Krishna hold? Come on, let's all share that burden with him. We'll all keep our sticks below the mountain so that, Krishna can take some rest. Oh, can you imagine this bhava that is experiencing here? If Krishna showed everyone that I am Supreme Lord, where will any of these pastimes manifest?
Yes, Prabhu.
If Krishna showed that he was Lord, will Mother Yashoda ever take the stick and run behind Krishna to hit him in Damodar Leela?
Not at all.
Not at all. See, that's the point you have to understand. But where he needs to, Krishna made it a point, explicit point. He told Arjuna, you better manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. You better demonstrate the highest aspects of devotion unto me, and you better surrender unto me. He very clearly told. He established his supremacy, Pakka. Where it has to be done, he did. And where he did not want, he concealed it.
So, but Mahaprabhu is a Channa avatar.
Channa avatar. Hidden avatar, right? He didn't want to reveal his Supreme Lord. But he wants everyone to stop all nonsensical worship and then come onto the platform of Radha Krishna worship. Okay, let's read 7:11. Who wants to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I will do. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 7.11. Krishna Madhurya Eka Adbhuta Svabhava Apana Asvatite Krishna Kare Bhakta Bhava. Translation: the transcendental mellow of conjugal love of Krishna is so wonderful that Krishna himself accepts the form of a devotee to relish and taste it fully. Purport: although Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, he has a special intention to taste himself by accepting the form of a devotee. It is to be concluded that although Lord Chaitanya is present in the form of a devotee, he is Krishna himself. Therefore, Vaishnavas sing Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nage Anya. Radha and Krishna combined together are Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as Sri Swarupa Damodara Goswami has said, Chaitanyakyam prakatam abhut aduna aduna tatvayam chaikyam aptam. Radha and Krishna assumed oneness in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So let's read this once again, just for our this one. Although Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, they use the word reservoir. He has special intention to taste himself by accepting the form of a devotee. It is to be concluded that although Lord Chaitanya is present in the form of a devotee, he is Krishna himself. Therefore, Vaishnavas sing Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. Radha and Krishna combined together or Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami has said, Chaitanyakyam Prakatam Adunata Dvayam Chaikyamatam. Radha and Krishna is in oneness in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu, who is Mahaprabhu? We are seeing from multiple dimensions why others are ascertaining that fact. Okay. So it is easy to approach Sri Krishna by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rather than directly approaching Sri Krishna, the Radha and Krishna. That's a very important fact to understand. And how to get the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to get the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. And how do you get the mercy of Sri Nityananda Prabhu? Is by following the instruction of whatever your Guru is giving. So you see, they're all interlinked and acting as a chain. Therefore, you will see, this is the easiest and a very wonderful method to reach the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. In this very life, it can be achieved. That's why you see Guru Maharaj, all the time, he is in the mode of Nityananda Prabhu. He speaks nothing other than Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the time seeking mercy. So that I can give a meaningful journey for this human form of life. So if you want to worship or taste that Krishna Madhurya, so then this is the only means and method. So by consistently practicing for a longer and longer duration of time, I'm using the word consistently and steadily practicing for a longer period of time, you are ascertaining the fact that Radha and Krishna are only goal of our life. And nothing else is the goal of my life. If that fact is ascertained, surely one will get the mercy of Godhead and in this journey. This is what you have to understand. Now, in this context, what are we going to learn? We're going to learn that how a great Mayavadi, who is completely Advaitam in his philosophy, who, they are just, worried after reading that book, Vedanta. Oh, these are rules and regulations of the Vedanta Sutra, so I want only read this, and nothing else. So for such personalities, how they can even come out and practice devotion. Right? So that's the focus of this subject. Very brilliant. So such a person, if they can take up devotion, why not any one of us? That's the humongous opportunity Mahaprabhu gives for us. Okay? So we'll relish this more and more. Okay, so let's meet tomorrow again and hear something on the holy name. Okay, morning 7 o'clock. Okay. 6 o'clock, sorry. Thank you. Grantaraj Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Ancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Vaishnava Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Tat Sat. You can see how deep the subject is.
Yes, Prabhu.
Unless one is and reading under the guidance, there's no way that he's going to understand anything.
100% Prabhu.
Just mad. Okay, have a wonderful weekend. Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna.
about consistency of
Thanks, Prabhu.
devotional
Dandavad
service.
Oh, yes,
Sudama,
Madhu. Consistency.
of this devotional service, Sudama Prabhu has given excellent lecture, Prabhu, at the temple.
Yeah, I heard that. What's he saying? What's the summary he's saying?
It's a lot of points, I think, Prabhu.
But he's a comical speaker.
Yeah, it like Gaur Gopal does it little bit.
Gaur Gopal, no, Gaur Gopal is something else, but he gives a lot of jokes and all in between.
Every word he transforms like anything.
Every word?
Every word he will transform like anything. Like he will make a joke out of that.
Yeah.
He was telling, you hear and you go near the deer and you forget about 4 things come.
Forget about the fear.
Yeah, forget about the fear. So ultimately, what is common in everything is ear. So you have to hear. Nice.
I've heard his lecture, 1 lecture or 2 lectures in the past sometime. Very comedian. Nice lecture. You need this kind also. All the time hearing serious lectures, you need to hear enjoying lectures also. Okay, good. So all of you can take this lead and hear his lectures. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. That is pranam.
Krishna Dandavad Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavad pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
Dandavad Pranam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.